मानुषी संवाद में आप सबका स्वागत है। वेलकम टू द 27th September 2022 एडिशन ऑफ मानुषी संवाद। फ्रेंड्स, सबसे पहले तो आपको नवरात्रि की शुभकामनाएं देना बनता है। कल तो हम प्रोग्राम ही नहीं कर सके क्योंकि 2 दिन में बहुत बीमार थी और उठा भी नहीं जा रहा था। तो पहला दिन नवरात्रि का तो बस ठप होके बैठा रहा सारा दिन मेरे लिए, और उठने की हालत में भी नहीं थी। तो आज बेहतर है थोड़े से हम, इसलिए आप नवरात्रि की शुरुआत एक कंस्ट्रक्टिव टॉपिक से करते हैं, पॉलिटिक्स को पीछे छोड़ के। ये सवाल जो, कैन गुरुकुल एजुकेशन बी रिवाइव्ड इन मॉडर्न टाइम्स। अब गुरुकुल का जब भी नाम आता है तो लोगों को लगता है कि जंगल में रहने वाले हजारों साल पहले वाले प्राणी, और वो आज के युग में उनका क्या लेन देन। परंतु अगर आज एक बात पर सारे देश में शायद एक मत होगा, वो ये कि हमारे देश की सबसे भीषण चुनौती, सबसे भीषण संकट और सबसे बड़ी चुनौती है हमारी जहरीली शिक्षा पद्धति। इतना फटीचर एजुकेशन सिस्टम मैंने कम से कम और किसी देश में नहीं देखा, और वो भी भारत जैसे देश में ये बदहाली जो हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम की है, वो तो इसलिए भी शर्मनाक है कि यहाँ भारत में उस समय विश्व विख्यात यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हुआ करती थी, तक्षशिला और नालंदा जैसी नहीं, ऐसी दर्जनों। जब यूरोप में शायद लोग गुफाओं में रहते थे या चिंपांजी की तरह पेड़ों पे उछल कूद करते होंगे, और ऐसे देश में आज हमारी बदहाली जो है शिक्षा की, मैं इसको जहरीली क्यों कहती हूँ, क्योंकि जहाँ हमें अंग्रेज छोड़ के गए, हमने उससे भी ज़्यादा अपने आप को नीचा गिराया। सब मानते हैं कि मैकॉले की जो शिक्षा नीति थी उसमें वो हिंदुस्तानियों को केवल क्लार्क बनाना चाहते थे। इस किस्म की शिक्षा कि दिमाग इस्तेमाल ना करें, अच्छे क्लार्क बन जाए ताकि उनकी एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव मशीनरी को चला सके एट द लोअर लेवल्स। आज के दिन तो हम एफिशिएंट क्लार्क भी नहीं बना रहे, अच्छे चपड़ासी भी नहीं बना रहे, ये हालत कर दी हमने। तो एक तरफ हमारा एलीट प्राइवेट स्कूल सिस्टम है जो कि पूरी तरह डिरासिनेटेड, कल्चरली अपरूटेड इंडिविजुअल्स पैदा करता है, जो सेल्फ लोदिंग हिंदूज उनको लगता है होना बहुत प्रोग्रेसिव होने की पहचान है। अपने मातृभाषाओं के प्रति उनकी उनकी अवहेलना, घृणा भाव, उनको हीन समझना, और टूटी फूटी भी है, अंग्रेजी आ जाए बस गिटर पिटर करने को, चाहे उसमें माँ बहन की गालियाँ बोलें, पर हम स्मार्ट हो गए क्योंकि अंग्रेजी में गालियाँ भी दे सकते हैं। एक तरफ तो ये एलीट प्राइवेट स्कूल्स का सिस्टम है जो कि एक्सपोर्ट क्वालिटी इंडियन ज़्यादा बनाता है, वो जाके विदेशों में जाके ज़्यादा अच्छे फिट हो जाते हैं। इस देश के लिए सेवा करने की ना तो उनकी मानसिकता अधिकतर होती है, कुछ एक छोटा तबका छोड़ के, और ना ही उनकी ट्रेनिंग होती है, क्योंकि जो पाठ्यक्रम है वो इस देश से काटता है ना कि जोड़ता है। और दूसरी तरफ से जो सरकारी स्कूल सिस्टम है या जो बेचारे गरीबों के लिए स्कूल सिस्टम है, वो तो पूरी तरह से लुम्पनाइज्ड अनएम्प्लॉयबल यूथ पैदा कर रहा है। इतनी बदहाली कर दी है हमारी शिक्षा पद्धति ने, और वैसे गाली देते हैं हमारे सिस्टम को, जाति प्रथा को, परंतु जो डिवाइड हमने इंग्लिश एजुकेटेड एलीट और दूसरों के बीच में पैदा कर लिए जिनको अच्छी अंग्रेजी नहीं आती, वो मुझे लगता है किसी रेशियल डिवाइड से, किसी जाति डिवाइड से, कभी भी हमारी जातियां इस तरह से विभाजित नहीं थी, इस तरह आपस में रिश्ता उनका विषम नहीं था जो आज जिस किस्म का विषम रिश्ता इंग्लिश एजुकेटेड एलीट का है बाकी लोगों से जो अंग्रेजी को पूरी तरह से मास्टर नहीं कर पाए। तो ऐसी सिचुएशन में क्या करें? बहुत से माँ बाप इस बात से बहुत चिंतित हैं कि कैसे अपने बच्चों को इन दो रास्तों के बजाय कहीं कंस्ट्रक्टिव एजुकेशन की तरफ, शिक्षा पद्धति की तरफ ले जाएं। और उसी के चलते हम देखते हैं कि पढ़े लिखे वर्ग में तो कम से कम ये, और ख़ासकर जिन्होंने अच्छी शिक्षा प्राप्त कर ली है, जैसे आज की हमारी गेस्ट हैं सहाना सिंह। वेलकम सहाना। या तो सहाना तो अमेरिका में रहती हैं, यहाँ से दिल्ली से इंजीनियरिंग पास करके फिर सिंगापुर रहीं, फिर अभी अमेरिका में है। तो ये तो ग्लोबल सिटीजन है एक मायने में, पर फिर भी गुरुकुलों के प्रति या हमारी पारंपरिक ज्ञान परंपराओं के प्रति जो इनकी उत्सुकता जगी और उस पर अध्ययन करना शुरू किया, तो उसके बारे में हमें सहाना बताएंगी। सहाना, वेयर डिड इट ऑल स्टार्ट, और आपको क्या लगता है कि गुरुकुल सिस्टम के माध्यम से या किसी और माध्यम से भारतीय ज्ञान परंपराओं को हम पुनर्जीवित कर सकते हैं?
So once again, Namaste, Madhuji, and Namaskar to all the viewers. It's a great honor to be in this program. My journey started actually when we moved to the US. तो जब तक मैं इंडिया में थी तब मैंने इतना ध्यान नहीं दिया था अपने एजुकेशन क्वालिटी के बारे में या ये गुरुकुल एजुकेशन के बारे में. But it all because मैं हिस्ट्री से जुड़ी हुई थी, so I was getting to know more and more about our history. I was reading Dr. David Frawley, Dr. N.S. Rajaram, Dr. Subhash Kak. So all their works were making me aware of our real history, which was never
और
taught.
धर्मपाल जी,
धर्मपाल जी
his
एक्चुअली
work is
डिस्कवर्ड
fine.
लेटर. तो पहले तो हिस्ट्री से जुड़ी कि हम, मुझे पता चला कि हमने जो हिस्ट्री पढ़ा था स्कूल में, दैट वाज टोटली रॉन्ग. इट वाज टोटली फ्रॉम द कॉलोनियल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. So after that awareness, there came a point when we moved to the US, and when I looked at the textbooks that my daughter was using, there was a world history textbook. और उस बुक में मैंने देखा कि इंडिया के बारे में क्या लिखा है. I was very keen to know what do they include about India. और उसमें सिर्फ ये लिखा था इंडिया के कास्ट सिस्टम के बारे में, सती प्रथा, पुअर पीपल, पॉवर्टी, लो स्टेटस ऑफ women. None of these things which I could identify with. I knew that we had a great heritage, और वो कुछ नहीं आ रहा था उसमें. So that's when I started writing. So and now because I myself come from a family of Sanskrit grammarians, that is from my grandfather. He was a Vyakaran Pandit, very renowned. Then my great grandfather was even more renowned than him. I mean, people could just write a letter to him, just write his name and just and write Bangalore and it would reach. So that was the kind of fame that he had, and the great writers, Gyanpith Award winners, they have all studied under them. So I was aware of this great educational heritage, and as I got closer to our history, this topic became very interesting to me, and that's when I realized.
एक मिनट,
हाँ,
मैं ये जानना चाहती हूँ कि आप उस ग्रेट ट्रेडिशन से आती हैं, संस्कृत स्कॉलरशिप की, तो आपकी जनरेशन तक आते आते बिल्कुल
बिल्कुल लुप्त हो गई. Because my
हो गई।
father, when he studied engineering, see, this is the sandwich generation, my parents' generation. So they are now getting into all this. My father is an engineer. My mother studied home sciences. And so they want to be modern. वो modernity का जो सवार हो गया था, भूत सवार हो गया था. That's what everybody latched on to. But luckily, thanks to my mother, we were still having discussions on what my grandfather said, what my great grandfather said. So my mother was telling me about their life. When we know about the biography of great people, that also is very inspirational. What all my grandfather did, the things that he said, she would keep repeating something that he said, and that would always be there at the back of my mind. So when I caught on to this subject, so then I just joined back all the threads, and now my mother is one of the greatest sources of information, because you see, from Kannada literature, she gives me all these insights. She's able to read Kannada when I can't read Kannada, because I grew up in Delhi and Calcutta. So I, in fact, know how to read and write Bengali. So this is the way. So even though I am from this Sanskrit Paddhati, it was totally gone. And even now in my generation, there is nobody who is actually pursuing Sanskrit studies, going at a high. They're all, they're all engineers, they are MBAs. Some of them are in the US. Successful people, of course. They do puja, they do the Navaratri puja and all that. But at the same time, they are not really very well aware about the history. It's only, I think, maybe because of my interaction, all these topics are coming up. Um, yeah, so that's how once I started on this exploration, it was so rich and rewarding. So with every trip to India, I would try to travel to a Gurukula. I went to Kashi. I saw the Ved Pachalas there, and also connecting to the gurus. That was something was missing in my life. I mean, though I am from the Madhva tradition, my parents, I mean, we are all Madhvacharya followers, you know. So I know that the gurus have done good work, but what they have done, I was not exposed to. And even, you know, going to a temple was not very common. I would just go when it was convenient. It was always about convenience. That was the most important thing. So as I got exposed to, but in fact, when I wrote my book, my first book on the educational heritage, you can see that it ends in a slightly pessimistic way, because I'm saying that it's all over. You know, we had all these great universities. You know, students came from around the world to study in India for the highest, best quality education. They had to come to India. There was no other place where, you know, you wanted that stamp of erudition that could only come from India. ये सब मैंने लिखा था, पर मुझे लगा कि आजकल जो है वो हो नहीं पाएगा. There is no Gurukula left. That's what I thought. But then by the time I wrote my second book, sorry, I can't hear you.
Before you go to आज के गुरुकुल, हम ये बताइए, एक तो है जो बड़ी यूनिवर्सिटीज होती थी वर्ल्ड फेमस बिग स्कॉलरशिप के लिए, दूसरे गांव-गांव में गुरुकुल होते थे. तो ये दोनों लेवल की शिक्षा पैरेलल चलती थी ना, ऐसा नहीं कि केवल बड़ी यूनिवर्सिटीज थी. ठीक है, तो मुझे ये बताइए कि उस समय के गुरुकुल या उस समय की शिक्षा पद्धति के बारे में आपने क्या सीखा, उसमें क्या विशिष्टताएं थी जो आज के युग में वो विशिष्टताएं लाना असंभव है या मुश्किल है.
See, एक तो ये था कि they were very rooted in the culture and the civilization. So they were not divorcing that from their reality. Like today's schools, like even the schools that I went to, once you stepped in the school, it was like you have to speak in English. You can make you can't wear bindi. I could not wear bindi in my school. It was, of
Which
course,
school was that?
all the schools, whether it was St. Anthony's or, you know, all the Julian Day School. Mostly they were Christian-run schools. So I could not wear a bindi. So the moment you step there into the school, in the school, you have to speak in English. You have to throw out all your Kannada, Hindi, everything, right, and speak in English. So it was that disconnect was there right from the moment we entered the school, and that was not there in ancient times. The ancient times, they were all rooted in the culture. They followed the Indic calendar, indigenous calendar. So they would be totally conversant with the night sky, what time of the year, what season it is, what puja is coming next. So in accordance with that, and they also gave importance to the life cycle, the biological cycles of the body, right? The women, if they are menstruating, then they know that that's a time for rest. That's not the time for you know, even thinking of deep things. So just relax, rest, and then when you're out of it, again have a bath, and you're now ready for imbibing knowledge. So those things. So in ancient times, the it was more rooted, more in tune with nature. That was very important. They were very familiar with all the trees, all the plants of that region. They knew all those names. This is a kind of knowledge totally missing today. So we go to school, we go to college, we don't care about the trees or the local flora, fauna. We don't care. So it's all diverse, and we see insects. We see them as intruders. We look at animals as intruders. But in those times, they were all living in harmony with nature. So that was one of the reasons the best Gurukulas, the best universities would be in the midst of nature. If you see the descriptions of all this Nalanda, Vikramshila, you can see that nature is just in its full abundance. Lakes are there with lotuses blooming in them. There are trees which are giving you the medicines, herbal medicines. If you fall sick, all that is there. I see that as a difference. And also in the subjects that were taught, the subjects that were taught, for example, Nyaya Shastra, it is such difficult logic. I mean, if a student can go through this subject, and that person will come out, you know, so scientific in the way they look at things. They will follow a reasoning pattern. Okay, what is the evidence that I have? I have visual evidence. I have evidence that has come down from the ancestors. And I have inference. I will make an inference with all the data that I have. So they had a very rigorous way of studying logic, Nyaya Shastra. Then they studied astronomy. How wonderfully they studied astronomy. So if, even today, I feel that if we go back to Ganita, because astronomy is not, it was now conflated with astrology today. So today, when they say Jyotisha, they think that Jyotisha is all astrology that was being taught in ancient times. That was a very important mathematical subject that was taught. Then you had languages which were taught so well that the full expression of the person would come out. You would go to the grammar in great detail, and then you would have all these kavyas. They would discuss the epics as well. Go chapter by chapter, verse by verse, describe it, and then there was no barrier between languages and the sciences. I mean, imagine, can we go to a math class and start talking in poetry? We can't do that. But when we look back at the works written by the great mathematicians like Bhaskaracharya, their works are written in poetry. So the formulae, everything is in the form of poetry. Madhuji, again you're muted.
I said all the great scientific treatises are in verse form in
Yes,
Sanskrit. Yeah,
yes.
that's quite amazing.
Can
But
we
the
give this?
even mathematics
Yes. So
is
imagine.
versified.
So that is the level of education we had, where we were equally good in mathematics and in the arts. The other thing about your ancient times that was that you had to be good in your arts. The 64 arts that we have, which included dancing, singing, writing poetry, all these were part of education. So today that's also not there. You know, that divorce from arts is very strong.
Including Pakala, Pakshastra. That is
Pakashastra,
also an important art.
Pakashastra, even, like physical exercises. You have like Kalari Payattu in Kerala, they have the martial arts. Other parts of India also, they had very rigorous exercises and, the
Hmm.
martial arts. Then they had the Vyayam, which they did. That was all there. But what I'm saying is the arts is very important, because if you're not rooted in the arts, then you're unable to think creatively. So if you're the way we used to be segregated into arts and sciences in school when I was growing up, of course now they are trying to make it more integrated. So humanities and the sciences used to be totally separate in my time, college also. And so the people studying sciences would have no idea. Only if they came from a musical family, they would be interested in music. If they came by chance from a family where they enjoyed theater, then they would be enjoying theater. But there was no way in which all this was integrated into the education system after here in India after independence. But in ancient times, it was all there. Like they could learn Yakshagana if they were studying in Karnataka. Yakshagana would be taught in Kerala, Kathakali, in the north, various dances, in west, Garba dances. All these things were taught as they were, or maybe they were not even taught. That was the entertainment after the school hours, and then everybody would participate.
Can't be that it's just entertainment because
Hmm.
ये classical dances में training तो जरूरी है.
The classical definitely, but I'm saying in the folk dances,
Folk dances, of
हाँ,
course.
जैसे
हाँ,
ये
वो
गरबा
तो
and all, हाँ,
गरबा,
yeah,
गिद्दा, all
yeah,
that.
yeah.
हाँ,
So वो तो
जितने भी.
पार्ट ऑफ फेस्टिवल्स में ही वो सेलिब्रेट करना है. आजकल आप देखिए, जब हम सेलिब्रेट करते हैं, किसी को कोई गाना नहीं आता है उस फेस्टिवल के से जो जुड़ा हुआ है. They don't know any song related to that. They are sitting like dumb creatures. The children, they don't know because they haven't been
अरे
taught.
छोड़ो, नवरात्रि के जो इतना भद्दा डीजे म्यूजिक चलता है,
Yeah,
आई टेल यू
right,
इट्स एन असॉल्ट ऑन सेंसेस.
right,
शराब
right.
पी के डीजे वाला म्यूजिक, फिर उल्टे सीधे हाथ पांव ऐसे जो वो डिस्को डांस होते हैं,
Yes,
वल्गर, वाहियात.
yes,
That's what's going on even in Navratri.
correct,
It's an assault on all your senses.
right.
Whereas ये जो आप आर्ट की बात करते हैं, आई थिंक ये जो डिस्टिंक्ट फीचर हमारे सिविलाइजेशन का रहा,
Hmm,
एवरीथिंग फ्रॉम किचन यूटेंसिल्स टू योर घर का झाड़ू,
hmm,
पीस ऑफ आर्ट.
hmm,
इट हैड एस्थेटिक
correct.
कंपोनेंट्स.
Yes.
आज सब चीज में से निकल गया.
Right. And we
और
can see that in the architecture. वो जो बनाते थे, all the Shilpa Shastras, right? If they built a bridge also, there'll be beautiful carvings on the bridge. And if they
that's
built a step well, every level of the step well, you'll find beautiful carvings. But today, if they make a water
even a
structure,
bullock cart,
bullock cart,
bullock carts,
hmm,
or any implements, agricultural implements, if you
hmm,
see
hmm,
पुराने,
hmm,
तो ऐसा क्रूड नहीं जैसा अब हालत हो गई है.
correct. So
Yeah.
today it's just plain construction, very plain, no artistry, no aesthetics. It'll be functional, that's all. They only care about functionality now. But that's because they're not rooted in the arts. Because if you're rooted in the arts, you will not be able to do something which is without art. So in fact, the British engineers used to also comment on this, that if they hired the local natives, then they brought in aesthetics. That was noticed.
Hmm.
In fact, in my book, I don't know if you have read my book, Revisiting the Educational Heritage of India. I've included a quote by Sir Arthur Cotton, who was a
Yeah.
very well-known British engineer, who is saying we are learning so much from the Indians, the Indian engineers. We would not have known how to make foundations on loose soil if we had not learned from the Indians. And it is because of them that we are making so much revenue, because they have taught us so many things.
Hmm.
So this is just at the tip of the iceberg. What all they have learned from us is huge. The amount of knowledge we had in every subject.
We
Uh,
wouldn't have minded if they only learned from us. They ensured we forgot it all.
yes,
They
right.
ensured we developed contempt towards it. And I think that is a genuine crime.
Yes.
हमारे लोग भी जाके हार्वर्ड फार्वर्ड में सीखते हैं, पता नहीं क्या सीखते हैं,
Hmm.
बट वहां जाके भी सेल्फ कंटेम्प्ट सीखते हैं।
हाँ जी.
और यहाँ भी उन्होंने वही सेल्फ हेट्रेड, सेल्फ लोदिंग का कल्चर। एनीवे, सो कमिंग टू द गुरुकुल्स दैट यू आर लुकिंग एट टुडे,
Hmm.
बोलिए।
Yeah, so today's Gurukulas, I've been to a couple of them. I went to, because ever since I wrote the book, people got a glimpse of that vast educational heritage and the fantastic, excellent system that we had that people clamored to study under. How do we bring it back? Where can I send my child to, Sahana ji? These are the mails that I get. Sahana ji, I don't want to send my child to a regular school. Can you recommend a Gurukula for me, for my child? So now I had to find the answers to that. So then every trip to India, I started visiting some Gurukula or the other. And I'm especially looking at Gurukulas where they're teaching modern subjects, because these are schools where I would think that if I were to start my motherhood again, would I send my child to this school? So one such example came across in last year when I went to Vidya Kshetra in close to Bangalore, about an hour or so from Bangalore. It is being run by Munid Thimanji. Again, he's an engineer. He studied in Delhi College of Engineering, just like me. Worked in various places, Wipro, everywhere, and then finally he decided to set up a Gurukula. And he and his wife Preeti, both of them, Preeti Dhiman, and he's a North Indian, she's a South Indian, it's a beautiful combination, and they have set up this small Gurukula. What I liked about it is that they're focusing on the pedagogy. They're focusing on the pedagogy, and they're right now it is not a residential Gurukula. The typical Gurukulas were all residential where the students would stay. So he doesn't want to get embroiled right away into these issues of accommodation, this and that. So he's just taking children who are able to come in the day scholars. But the way they are learning the arts now, everybody has to learn at least four arts right in the beginning. So it could be classical dance, Bharatnatyam, music, or drawing, painting, various other arts are there, choices are there. So they pick four arts and they have to keep with it for some time, and then over a period of time they can drop one art and keep three, and then they drop one more, so that finally they stick with two arts throughout the educational period. So I looked at that, and I actually heard the children who were learning classical music, both Hindustani as well as Karnataka. And it was very nice. I just loved the way they were learning. And they don't take, right now, I don't think they have more than 50 or 100 students, 50, between 50 and 100. So they're taking less number of people. They also need funding. So funding is also an issue. They don't want to take fees from the children. So the it's only through donations that they are running. And some of the parents have themselves
When you
become.
say they don't take fees, I read this in your
Huh.
article
Hmm.
कि वो फीस नहीं लेते, डोनेशन जो भी जिसका अपना बच्चा है वो औरों के लिए भी डोनेशन।
Huh.
व्हाट डज दैट मीन? यू कैन गिव व्हाट यू लाइक, or does the donation have any relationship to the
I
actual
mean, they would
cause?
know what the expenses are like, so that everybody gives in accordance with what he or she can give. That is the ancient paddhati. Ancient paddhati में तो वही था, अगर आप ancient वाला लाना चाहते हैं, then if you charge the fees, then it will be a bit of a clash. So they are following that tradition. It's not necessary that every Gurukula has to follow this norm, but this is what they have been doing. So arts ka base to sabko mil raha hai. And I can see that this is the class these are the classes where the children enjoy, and they khul jate hain, matlab, they can enjoy themselves. And then all of them are learning the Ramayana and Mahabharata. That is very important. And they're going very slowly. There's no rush to finish it. They go and they're using Ramayana and Mahabharata to teach ethics, uh, to bring out relationships, कैसे होने चाहिए या कैसे नहीं होने चाहिए, फिर गलत क्या है, सही क्या है, what is dharma. So they're using the Ramayana as a tool to teach a lot of things. Eventually, of course, the older kids will go to Mahabharata as well. So this is also a very ancient way of teaching. In ancient times, हर चीज को लेक्चर के रूप में नहीं बताते थे, देखो आप ये कीजिए वो कीजिए, जैसे हमारा मॉरल साइंस क्लास में होता था, और रेस्पेक्ट योर पेरेंट्स, डू दिस डू दैट, वो सब हम पढ़ के आते थे, वी डिडंट इवन रिमेंबर व्हाट वाज टॉट. बट ये लोग तो व्हेन दे स्टडी रामायण, दे सी द स्टोरी and they get inspired by what ram is doing, how Sita, how they're taking all the hardships for a bigger cause. And of course the teacher can handhold them and make them understand, so that they don't try to do stupid things like thinking Ravana is a great role model. Because if somebody says that, then they will be told that exactly what Ravana did. He was a rapist, he was this. Like today,
He wasn't a rapist.
he was a rapist.
Ravan
Ravana.
didn't rape.
No, not Ravan before. I mean, his track record, if you see, he has been a
Oh,
rapist. Huh.
not with regard to Sita.
Not Sita, not Sita. What I'm saying is, Ravana was a confirmed rapist, not with
I
Sita.
think it's better to call him a sexual predator.
Predator. Yeah, I mean,
Then,
you won't idolize Ravana if you read the Ramayana in the original, the Valmiki Ramayana.
yeah.
So you can see all these JNU types, who suddenly want to appreciate the anti-hero or the demon, right? So what I'm saying is that learning the Ramayana in the right context, and at the same time using it to learn Sanskrit. You see, the way it is being used in this Gurukula and the other Gurukula also that I visited. Sanskrit, if you teach them Sanskrit after learning Sanskrit, what? They have to read a book. So Ramayana or Mahabharata are very good epics, very good treatises to study, whereby you also refine your Sanskrit grammar. You understand why a certain sentence is being used in this way, what that word means. Go to the root. So as you're teaching Ramayana, you can use it to teach better Sanskrit, better language. You can also make them translate it to English and see how it sounds. So many things you can do with while teaching the epics. So that is being done. I saw in that Gurukula. And then agriculture, one skill that all of us are missing out, and I'm sure it would have hit home during the COVID times, when we were all running out of provisions. What do we do? No, we don't have food. So here they are learning to grow food. They're learning gardening. What are the things that a plant responds to? What should you do with the soil? And the whole process of growing every day. The first class in the morning is Krishi. So they all have this creative activity right in the morning, and they'll see what they've planted. Why did it die? What happened here? How did that plant perish? Was there something I didn't do right? So all these things, even while working with nature, you become a very reasoning person, a very thoughtful person. So krishi ho gaya, they learn how to grow food, and the fruits of what you have grown. I mean, when all your hard work, when you get those tasty vegetables and fruits, the joy you experience, all that is part of the curriculum. Is that? And then krishi ho gaya, then building construction. The children, I saw them building a house, building a room. Actually, they're building a different. There is an expert who is guiding them. So using all natural substances like jaggery, lime and things like that, and building a structure. So that is also part of the curriculum, and that's one of the 64 colors as well. Learning how to do all these things. फिर वो हो गया, और फिर मैथ साइंस वो सब तो है ही. And they're using very innovative blackboards where they're writing on, that's like a flap door where they're writing on all sides, both sides of the door. And they're teaching maths and science in English, but at the same time I can see that they're bringing in concepts, the tattvas from our darshanas, from our Sanatan Dharma, Panchabhuta, all these things they're bringing in, even though it's not in the textbook. So they're learning sciences and maths, correlating it with assignments that they have to do. ये हो गया. फिर बीच बीच में ये खाना बनाने का हो गया. They learn how to, there'll be a class where they'll make a sweet, they'll make something. they're also learning how to sell it. I mean, during certain festivals, they are actually marketing them. So they have to find customers who will buy these sweets. So say they will learn a bit of entrepreneurship also. So this is my was my first experience of a Gurukula, which was very integrated, teaching education, teaching all the subjects in an integrated way. Now this
उसकी
needs to
कुछ
be scaled up.
पिक्चर्स देख ले,
हाँ,
कुछ
पिक्चर्स दिखाई है।
फोटोग्राफ्स देख लेते हैं।
हाँ।
दूसरा, इम्तिहान है कि नहीं, क्योंकि मैं एज अ स्टूडेंट, वन थिंग आई हेटेड मोस्ट वाज एग्जाम्स. आई वाज ऑलवेज अ गुड स्टूडेंट फॉर मोस्ट पार्ट ऑफ माय लाइफ एंड टॉप,
Hmm.
easily. But I came to hate exams. And the hatred went so far that in BA, I managed a 49% third division because I really hated how we were being taught. और मैं तो क्लास बंक करती थी. One of the most disgruntled students India has ever known. And I think that's really what turned me into a rebel. अब उसके बाद फिर रिकवर किया. जेएनयू में भी आसान नहीं होता
Hmm.
to feel really charged up about what you're learning. But more importantly, एज अ टीचर ऑल्सो, मुझे इम्तिहान लेने और मार्किंग से इतनी नफरत थी कि मैं हर वक्त रिफ्यूज किया, except during the emergency when we were forced compulsorily to take examination. I refused to judge people, give them marks. I would sit with their papers or tutorials and tell them where they went wrong. Post में 6 out of 10, 4 out of 10 वो देना मुझे बहुत खराब लगता था. यहाँ क्या है, इम्तिहान का सिस्टम क्या है,
No, so
और एंड हाउ डज इट लिंक विद द formal system and degrees? Because after that, what do you do if you don't have that stupid
So
degree?
these people are actually aligned in Vidya Kshetra. I saw that they're aligned with the NIOS, the open schooling system.
Hmm.
So eventually there are exams because that's what the government has made, right? So there has to be a certification so that you have. Otherwise, if you're not certified, it's not possible to even call it a call it say to say that you have learned anything. तो एग्जाम तो होगा ही, लेकिन इनके इंटरनल जो एग्जाम्स हैं दैट इज वेरी कस्टमाइज्ड. So it goes according to the child. If a child who doesn't like exam, is very scared of exam, then the teacher would be working specially with that student. Because you're ultimately it's not a competition with the others, but it's with yourself. Have you learned something? Are you better than? Do you know a little bit more than you knew yesterday? So they are all going their own journeys, all of them, and that's the style of Gurukul education, where you would all be marking yourself against your earlier performance.
How did the traditional gurukuls operate with regard to evaluation? There were obviously no exam, no class 4 से 5वीं में पहुंच गए, 5वीं से 6ठी कक्षा में.
नहीं,
I don't
एक्चुअली
think
एग्जाम होते थे उधर भी एग्जाम. आई मीन देयर इज नो वे.
exam होते थे, but not this. Of course, there has
नॉट
to
दिस.
be.
हाँ.
You have to prove
यस.
your almost daily. I would
यस.
say, in a way, you have to prove your competence on a daily basis,
यस.
or else the exam at the end of the year really is hogwash.
नहीं, वो तो ब्रिटिश सिस्टम है. ये जो एंड ऑफ द ईयर ब्रिटिश
हाँ,
सिस्टम
हाँ,
में ये जो आया, ये एग्जाम सिस्टम नहीं था पहले.
हाँ.
बट डेफिनेटली रिगर तो था ही. और आपको मार्क्स दिए जाते थे बिकॉज पाणिनी हैज मेंशन्ड इट दैट देयर वर स्टूडेंट्स हु. So the memory was very important, a lot of memory training. So if you are when you are reciting something, you make a mistake, then that would be pointed out to you. So you have to now reduce the number of errors you made. If you have made 10 errors today, tomorrow it should be 9, and then next day 8, and you go to 0 error when you're chanting something, learning how to chant, all that. And also remember, Nalanda had entrance examinations. All these universities, they had difficult entrance examinations in which the guru would ask questions and you should be able to answer. And you, of course, memory was always given a very big importance in those times. That is another topic, which is it's a whole chapter in my book, memory training jo hai. Khair, we can deal with that later. So Vidya
No,
Kshetra
no,
mein,
I think we
हाँ,
should talk about that because
okay.
the so-called modern education
Hmm.
um, despises learning by rote. But
Hmm.
I think it's so important.
Right.
In fact, I tell you, the only maths I actually remember is what I was taught at home is the pahadas.
Hmm.
अंग्रेज स्कूल में नहीं हमें सिखाया. दो दूनी चार, चार दूनी आठ.
Hmm.
वो 16 तक के पहाड़ा तो मुझे रटाया होगा बचपन में।
Right.
बट स्कूल में, फॉर्मल स्कूल में तो कोई नहीं था ऐसा मैथ्स। तो
Hmm.
मुझे बेशक 100/100 मिल जाते थे स्कूल में,
Hmm.
but my maths is zero. My ability to deal with, because it just didn't link. And the other thing is that once you've learned something by rote, be it
Hmm.
a mathematical table
Hmm.
or Bhagavad Gita or Kabir ki chaupai, it becomes part of your DNA system that comes back to you at the right moment
Hmm.
as part of your sanskar.
The memory was very important, and not just for all these things. One is, of course, the tables, which you said. And today, I laugh when I see people using calculators
Hmm.
for small things, right? Like even if you're bought, 10 plus 55 के लिए भी calculator use करते हैं. तो ये सब इसलिए हुआ है because they've not done this oral way of doing oral mathematics जो कहते हैं, which was important. And you have to know the tables. तो tables वगैरह सीखना पड़ता था. Apart from that, when you stress on memory, when they teach you memory techniques about how to remember something, visualize it, so that you can remember it, all those techniques, or repeat in a certain way so that you make it into a song, in a musical way. Like if you see how they are reciting, how they're memorizing the Vedas, right? There is a certain cadence, there is a certain music, and then the way they memorize it, all that helps tremendously. Because suppose you learn the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the Gita, various other texts, it is so helpful in creative expression as well, in your
Yeah.
public speaking as well. So आप बोलने के टाइम में आपको कुछ याद ही नहीं क्या कहाँ से कोट करे क्या करे, you that today a lot of people will be using, even I am guilty of this, we use slides because we are forgetting what we have to speak next, and so we look at the slides. But पहले जमाने में तो memory इतना अच्छा होता था that they would know exactly what they want to say. So even today when I see somebody like a guru giving a lecture, and I can see that they're proceeding in a sequential way, they know what they want to say, and they're able to bring out timely quotes from various scriptures. So those things are also important. So memorization तो आपको मैं बता रही हूँ ये बहुत important है, and I want memory techniques to be taught in school, because that will help you to remember a lot of things, and it will make you also more intelligent. Actually, I'm not saying rote education in the sense of not understanding and just memorizing. I mean, there has to be the other classes will teach you what you have memorized, the explanations, the meanings.
देखिए, रोट एजुकेशन जिसको कहते हैं वो तो अब आ गई है, लोग
Hmm.
कुंजियों से पढ़ते हैं,
Hmm.
guide books.
Hmm.
Even people appearing for LLB exam
Hmm.
use those Chavanni wali guidebooks.
Hmm.
MA, PhD students using guidebooks, and they're incapable actually of reading original text. ये हालत है. ये rote by learning जो हो गई है, we've replaced it because हमारी लर्निंग रोट देखिए, अगर मुझे याद है शायद मेरी नानी 4 क्लास पार्ट थी, पर कितना उसको स्क्रिप्चर्स की याद थी, कोट कर सकती थी।
Hmm.
रामायण का पाठ है या जो भी लोकल मुहावरे,
Hmm.
ऑल दैट,
Right.
तो वोकैबुलरी बहुत रिच हो जाती है एक तो उससे,
Vocabulary rich हो जाती है.
वोकैबुलरी बहुत रिच हो जाती है।
Right.
अभी हमारे लर्निंग बाय रोड क्या करते हैं, बच्चों को क्या सिखाते हैं, जैक एंड जिल वेंट अप द हिल टू फेच पेल ऑफ वाटर, ब्रोक हिज क्राउन। अच्छा, मैंने भी रटा वो स्कूल में, और आप मानोगी, एंड ही केम टम्बलिंग डाउन, ब्रोक हिज क्राउन, एंड आई understood it much later that crown meant the skull. I used to
Hmm.
think crown, so big deal. What's the big deal if you
Exactly.
broke?
Meaningless poems which were being taught to us.
Meaningless gibberish
Yes. On the other
limerick.
hand, when I
These
see
are
local
gibberish
school
limericks.
children,
Ji.
they learn beautiful poetry in Kannada, Hindi, and those are also meaningful, describing the nature or something, something profound. ये भी है. When we memorize these profound verses, they will come back to us at difficult times. When we are in a crisis, when we are going through something, if we have memorized all that, it comes back to us and it gives us inspiration. It helps us to sail through that moment. I feel it is also.
अब देखो, कपिल कपूर जी सुन रहे हैं, वो कह रहे हैं Gurukuls were teacher centric, not machine centric, and the goal of education was to आगे कभी आ जाएगा। कपिल जी, I wish you could join us at some point on this. There's a lot to learn from you on this issue also. So
So
we'll have
nice
you.
to see
Yeah,
Kapil ji there. Kapil ji
yeah.
was there when my book was launched last year. He was there analyzing my book, and I was feeling so honored. So very good
Mm,
to see him here.
जी, so
Huh.
अच्छा इसकी फोटो दिखा दें और फिर we go on to the second Gurukul that you've seen,
Yes.
and the attempt to keep up with this bizarre time phase we are living in.
Yes. So
चलिए.
this is the morning routine. When I went there, they were all sitting there, and they were reciting the Bhagavad Gita. They were all, and I saw little children also. They knew it completely by heart, and they were reciting the Bhagavad Gita. So this is like a life tool that has been given to them to help them navigate the vicissitudes of life. So they are learning Bhagavad Gita at a young age. So yeah, any other photos I think you have? So this is the Krishi class that I mentioned. Muniji was showing me around all this that the children have grown by themselves, all the gardening, all the horticulture they have done. This is the morning activity. This is Muniji, and this was the science lab. So their science lab is amazing. Initially, I thought that इसमें क्या है? कुछ भी तो नहीं है. But then I saw that the kind of experiments that they were doing, they were so interesting. So usme they are learning different things, about how the mean. I mean, they were being asked to derive themselves. Like they're not being taught Ohm's law, resistance ka jo Ohm's law hota hai electricity mein. They will do by putting the circuit together. They will themselves realize the Ohm's law. तो वो देखा मैंने. फिर ये उनका ब्लैक बोर्ड जो मैं बता रही थी, ये जो उन्होंने स्पेशली डिजाइन करवाया है इसको. इट कैन बी फोल्डेड और दोनों साइड में लिख सकते हैं. तो all this was being used for teaching. And as this was one of the assignments, I mean, one of the scrapbooks of the children, because the children were being asked to observe the night sky every day for a month. And then after observing it for a month, they have to come up with questions, 20 questions, each of those children, that जो भी आपने देखा उसके बारे में क्या questions हैं आपको. And then they have to find the answers to those questions. So I was looking at what all they have written. See the time of observation, सब कुछ था उनका. Okay, this was the music class that I attended, and these just 5, 6 children ही थे, senior children, because they wanted me to see what they have learned. And I saw how they were learning, how they were able to take the raga, make a composition out of the raga by themselves. So first they have been given the framework of the raga, and they have learnt it. Now the teacher is telling them to innovate with the raga and sing what you want with knowing what the swaras are, and they were doing that. And this was when all the teachers got together. End of the day, the teachers sit together and they talk about what they learned or what ideas they have got. So these are all the gurus of the Gurukula. Some of them are parents themselves, and they give their input so that other teachers also can learn from what they observed. So they have a very nice discussion, and they have a reference book that they use also. There's one Dr. Indumati who has written in Hindi a series of books. No, this is the other Gurukula. So that was what I talked about was Vidya Kshetra in Bangalore. Now this is a photo of Vishnu Gupta Vidya Pitha, Vishnu Gupta Vishwa Vidya Pitha in Gokarna, Karnataka.
मैं यही पूछने वाली थी आपसे, क्योंकि
Can you
गुरुकुल
pause the
के लिए
photo?
गुरु
हाँ,
परंपरा से जुड़ा होना बहुत जरूरी होता है, कि
हाँ.
आप किसी परंपरा से निकले हुए गुरु हैं, पर अभी तो हमारे पास सिर्फ टीचर्स हैं, तो गुरुकुल कैसे बनेंगे?
Now that is going to be a challenge. So Vidya Kshetra is in that sense, it doesn't have a parampara and all that. So it's a new age, a startup Gurukula, you can say. But I still appreciate them because they are working with the pedagogy and they're trying to find ways in which children can learn better. It's a kind of research that is going on side by side along with teaching. But the other,
सहाना,
हाँ,
सहाना एक मिनट,
हाँ.
ये जो पेडागॉजी शब्द है ना, मुझे बड़ी चिढ़ है इससे, और जरा आप बता दीजिए कि ये मतलब क्या है? इट्स यूज वेरी मच अमंग लेफ्टिस्ट, एंड
हाँ.
वो तो पेडागॉजी के बगैर कुछ बात होती नहीं उनकी. इट हैज टू कम इन. वंस अपॉन अ टाइम इट वाज क्लास स्ट्रगल, नाउ इट्स पेडागॉजी. तो इसका आसान शब्द क्या होगा, हमारे व्यूअर्स को बता दीजिए.
Well, pedagogy I'm using because that's the one word which conveys the method of teaching, the styles of teaching, the way of education itself. एक होता है education and दूसरा होता है कि how do we teach? What are the tools that we should be using and how do we teach? उसके लिए I'm using the word pedagogy. And I can understand अगर वो आप leftist तरीके से देखेंगे, leftist
हाँ, मेरा तो
meaning में
माथा,
देखेंगे, it's horrible. But what
संस्कृत में क्या शब्द होगा इसके लिए,
I
मेथड
think
ऑफ टीचिंग से?
आई थिंक कपिल जी से पूछना पड़ेगा. अगर कपिल जी आके बोलेंगे एक पेडागोजी, मैंने आई हैवंट लुक्ड फॉर द वर्ड येट. But what I was seeing is, so what I saw in Vidya Kshetra is that they are trying to find the best ways in which a subject can be taught. Should it be taught in a story way? Should it be taught in a game way? Shall we make a game out of it? So those are the things that I would include in Gurukula pedagogy. Gurukula के इसमें teaching methods में हम ये सब include कर सकते हैं. जो पहले भी होते थे, games होते थे. Everything can be a game, right? And today the children love, they are in the world of gaming, video gaming, हर चीज को कैसे किया जाए. And some of these games are brilliant, by the way. I'm not against those computer games that are being played by the children. They're actually teaching them a lot of skills. But can you pause the slideshow, because I will when I explain about Vidya
पीछे जाओ,
Kshetra.
पीछे जाओ,
हाँ,
एडमिन पीछे जाओ।
जो विष्णु गुप्ता के बारे में अभी तक बात नहीं किया मैंने.
जी बोलो।
हाँ. So anyway, so this research that I saw in Vidya Kshetra, I feel that they are going to set the standards very soon for what are the methods that work, that they can now tell people that this method works best with children, and for these kind of children, children who have low attention span, maybe we can use this method. You have to change. You can't keep teaching something for 1 hour. So with children who have a certain problem, then we just change the style a little bit. ये सब हो रहा है. So the other Gurukula that I visited was Vishnu Gupta Vishwa Vidyapita in Gokarna, and that is a Paramparik Gurukula. So this is the guru that you are seeing here. He is the seer of that matha, Ramachandrapura Matha, and that matha was established by Shankaracharya himself. So what I like about this Gurukula is that he also wants it to be a Gurukula that takes into account the modern subjects. So he doesn't want the students to come out of a Gurukula unable to find a job, unable to fit in the society. So in this Gurukula, I found that they have two streams. One is Paramparika and the other is Navina. And so the Paramparika students are those who know that they want to study only the Paramparik subjects. So they want to study the Shastras, they want to study ancient mathematics, all those things. So they only, and they want to maybe become pujaris or something like that, or they want to become Sanskrit experts totally. So they are going for Paramparika, and there are just a handful of students. The others are in the Navina category, where they are studying all the Karnataka State Board subjects, mathematics, physics, chemistry, everything. And at the same time, there are some Paramparik subjects for them. So for example, these are the students who are learning the the Jyotisha, the Ganita Jyotisha, astronomy. So that photo which was there just now, where they were all sitting around the teacher, the guru, he was teaching them about Panchanga. And he was explaining to them about the night sky, he was the phases of the moon, the eclipses and all that, in the way that it is taught in our Shastras. But again, they also have a modern AV room where children can go and see a presentation. They can also be visiting teachers, professors who can come and teach them. They have that. But they are not letting go of the Paramparika way of learning also. They all, the boys try to dress in dhoti, they wear they're bare-chested and they have that Angavastram. They can wear a kurta if they want to. The girls actually have more freedom. I saw them dressing in salwar kameez. But they are actually also, some of them wear that langa davani that we call it, like a small, like a lehenga kind of thing. They wear that also. Wo bhi hai. So they are leading that lifestyle of a Gurukula. Even if they are studying modern subjects, they have to get up early in the morning. They have to chant the shlokas, so they have to learn all that. But they're also they study according to the subject, Karnataka board subjects, and they will have the examination at the end. They have to prepare for that. So that is the other Gurukula. And then the Guru is
How
always
well
there.
do they perform in the Karnataka board exam? What's the performance level?
No, this Gurukula has started just 2 years ago during the pandemic time. So I'm not sure about their results and all that. But I think they're doing well, because I saw the Swamiji was giving awards to the people who had performed very well in the board exam So when I went just a month ago, 2 months ago, their names were being announced. They were coming up, and the guru was giving them, a shawl, ceremonially giving them all the gifts and all that. That was happening. So there is a guru at the top, and he takes the Ramayana classes himself. He takes those classes himself, and the other classes are taught by the others. And I noticed that, in every, they have a seat for the guru, just like even if the guru is not there, there's a beautifully decorated asan for him. In case he also comes and sits there, it will be there. And even if he's not there, they treat as if he's sitting there with them when they are learning a subject. So I found that very beautiful. That Shraddha has to be there. You have to have that Shraddha for the Guru. So even if he's not there, his chair is there, and then they're learning this subject. Time to time, he's there to bolster their spirits, to give them a beautiful message during the festivals. All that is happening. So I saw that. My article, if you can pull up the article that I've written recently.
इसका ना जो इसका लोकेशन बड़ा सुंदर है. I
हाँ.
think that in itself would
Mind blowing.
refresh people's mind, and to be in a location where you feel connected with the
Absolutely.
elements,
And
with the
that is
nature,
what blew
with
me
the
away.
cosmos.
It blew me away because we were going to the place where the classes are being held, and we were going up the hill, and then suddenly I caught a glimpse of the sea, the ocean, the waves dashing on the rocks, and I said, "What? This is beautiful." I mean, move over all this Dune school and all those schools in hill stations. I thought, if these kind of gurukulas can become the norm, where we send our children away there for getting a proper education rooted in the Vedas, this is just so beautiful. तो एक चीज है, लेकिन it was raining heavily, so they will experience all those elements. Monsoon में आप एक क्लास से दूसरे क्लास में जा रहे हैं, all that was there.
वो जरा पिक्चर दिखा दो एडमिन. हाँ, ये सही है कि एक क्लास से दूसरी क्लास जा रहे हैं
Yeah,
तो
yeah.
ड्रेंच्ड. हाँ, अब वो
Of
है
course.
पिक्चर क्या दूर से जो पहाड़ से ये गुरुकुल दिखता है.
And
जब आपने भेजा है. अच्छा, लेट हिम लुक फॉर इट, बट इन द
okay.
मीन टाइम मुझे एक दो सवाल है.
हाँ.
ये 19वीं शताब्दी में जब हमारे समाज सुधार आंदोलन, सोशल रिफॉर्म मूवमेंट शुरू हुए, तो जैसे आर्य समाज पंजाब और हरियाणा में, उत्तर प्रदेश में, तो इन्होंने भी अपनी नई शिक्षा पद्धति की शुरुआत की. और कुछ एक थोड़ा मैंने स्टडी किया, ये मेरा कल से अभी तक, oh my God, it's not going. And my
पानी पी
lips
लीजिए.
hurt when I cough. Anyway, now, जैसे आप बोल रहे थे, in particular, I studied extensively the कन्या महाविद्यालय set up by लाला देवराज. उनका भी एजुकेशन मॉडल काफी गुरुकुल के ही पद्धति पे था, और वो खुद वहाँ गुरु के रूप में उनका परिवार रहता था. बहुत वन ऑफ द मोस्ट एक्सेप्शनल सोशल रिफॉर्मर्स इंडिया हैज प्रोड्यूस्ड. अब उनकी भी जैसे ज्योग्राफी की क्लास है, ये बहुत मुझे सुंदर लगा. ज्योग्राफी की क्लास शायद इस गुरुकुल में भी यही कर रहे हैं. स्टार्ट्स विद अपने कैंपस का भूगोल, आप अपने कैंपस की ज्योग्राफी, यहाँ की दिशाएं, और उसके बाद अपने मोहल्ले की ज्योग्राफी, फिर शहर. इसको जरा चौड़ा कीजिए. हाँ, ये देखिए कितनी सुंदर जगह है, बताइए.
Look at the roof of this. This is the roof of the Gurukula. This is the drone view, and you can see the swastika there, which will of course send the Western world into a tizzy if they see this. But for us, it is so auspicious. It is so beautiful that the roof itself is shaped like swastika.
जी. तो मैं आपको बता रही थी कि ज्योग्राफी का लेसन है, तो पहले अपने कैंपस का, फिर उसके बाद अपने डिस्ट्रिक्ट, आई मीन मोहल्ले का, फिर शहर का, फिर पंजाब का. और मुझे याद है मैं जिस स्कूल में पढ़ी, तो ज्योग्राफी इंडिया की तो मुझे नहीं याद है, पर टुंड्रा, प्रेरीज, places I'll never see, have no sense of in my whole life. वहां से शुरू किया. सो ज्योग्राफी ऑल्सो सीम सो बोरिंग. और हमारे यहाँ आज भी यही है. अगर मैं मान लो किसी के कोई घर मुझे रहना है, या होटल भी मुझे 2 रात को रहना है, तो मैं हमेशा पूछती हूँ कि मुझे कमरा दीजिए सन फेसिंग, ताकि मैं सनराइज देख सकूं. बिलीव यू मी, आज तक मुझे ऐसा एक होटल नहीं मिला, कोई स्टार भी हो, 5 हो, 6 हो, 4 स्टार, जहाँ वहाँ काम करने वाले लोगों को पता है ईस्ट का कौन सा है, सनराइज कहाँ से होता है, सनसेट कहाँ से होता है. दे गेट पजल्ड बाय सच अ क्वेरी.
So
एंड
that's
मोस्ट पीपल
hmm,
रियली, एंड उनके तो ऑक्यूपेशन में भी जरूरी है जानना,
hmm,
है ना, उनके ऑक्यूपेशन में जानना जरूरी होना चाहिए, बट इवन देयर दे डोंट नो. नाउ द पॉइंट दैट आई एम ट्राइंग टू मेक इज वो ज्योग्राफी, उसके बाद बायोलॉजी लेसन, वही अपने गार्डन में वहाँ पौधे उगा रहे हैं, वो वनस्पति से आप बायोलॉजी के लेसन सीख रहे हैं. वेर एज वॉट वी हैड वॉज हॉरिबल बायोलॉजी लेसन्स, आई मीन लर्न बाय रोट, या फिर फ्रॉग डिसेक्शन. It was traumatic to even witness the teacher doing it. Thank God they didn't want any of us students to uh,
hmm,
do the dissection.
hmm,
It's unnecessary to teach you that way, है ना, डिसेक्शन करके लाइव फ्रॉक को पकड़ के फिर आप चीर फाड़ रहे हो उसको. तो कोई भी चीज मुझे नहीं याद है कि चाहे फिजिक्स हो या बायोलॉजी हो जिसको अ, सबको जानना जरूरी है, अपना बायोलॉजी से
hmm,
लेकर बाकी बायोलॉजीज
hmm,
या केमिस्ट्री. किचन में कितनी केमिस्ट्री होती है,
hmm,
amazing chemistry that even the most so called uneducated woman knows कि किस केमिकल का, किस स्पाइस का, किस सब्जी के साथ क्या कॉम्बिनेशन ठीक बैठेगा. इट्स ऑल ग्रेट केमिस्ट्री.
right.
परंतु क्या आप केमिस्ट्री पढ़ाते हैं हमें? तो आई रियली वाज ट्रूली, आई एम वन ऑफ द मोस्ट डिसग्रंटल्ड स्टूडेंट्स ऑफ आवर मॉडर्न डे एजुकेशन सिस्टम.
Hmm,
तो ये जो कन्या महाविद्यालय का मॉडल भी 30s तक चला. उसके बाद ये हुआ कि अब सरकारी सर्टिफिकेशन नहीं लोगे तो पेरेंट्स को लगता है कि क्या फायदा, our child will have no degree. And there was a long debate in Kanya Mahavidyalaya among the educationists whether
hmm,
to do it or not, to keep their freedom or not, because Lala Dev Rajji was hell bent on maintaining his independence, not take government grants and not follow government curriculum. But then finally, as he got older and other the next generation took over, it became totally sarkarified. So today, Kanya Mahavidyalaya is no different from any other, just as DAV schools. There's nothing Anglo left about. I mean, there's nothing Vedic left about DAV schools. It's
hmm,
all Anglo-Panglo.
hmm,
The Sarkari Karan, the adoption of the government curriculum has destroyed education.
hmm,
And yet we've become such avid enthusiasts for uniformity. Entrance test, medical, uniform, one all over the country. IITs, one test all over the country. You know, they're destroying everything. And
hmm,
people think this is, and these ruddy-fuddy bureaucrats who themselves passed exams through doubtful means very often, are the ones who are supposed to guide us. How do we get out of this? This
hmm.
hunger for uniformity and bureaucratization of education. क्या कहेंगे इसका?
That's why I think that there has to be a case for reviving the Gurukula education, but uh, we can take those elements that we feel are relevant for today as much as possible. We don't have to make it exactly like an ancient Gurukula, the Ramayana, Mahabharata times ke jo Gurukul the. We don't have to bring that back exactly, but let us take the best parts of it, like what you mentioned now about geography. वो मैंने इधर देखा विद्या क्षेत्र में that they are actually the older kids are going around India and they're going to different places and they're analyzing the culture and then they're finding that ये फेस्टिवल को इस स्टेट में ऐसे मनाया जाता है और उस स्टेट में ऐसे मनाया जाता है और अच्छा लैंग्वेजेस अलग हैं लेकिन उनको भी यही कॉन्सेप्ट है धर्म का कॉन्सेप्ट है एंड वेरियस अदर कॉन्सेप्ट्स जो हैं हमारे जो कमिंग फ्रॉम आवर सिविलाइजेशन वो इधर भी है उधर भी है सो दे आर without being told, they are seeing the unity in the diversity by themselves. It's not just unity in diversity, what we saw in our textbook. We never knew what it meant. But these kids know because they have gone around. They've seen the rivers, how you worship the rivers. They're seeing that, how you call the river as a ma. All that they are seeing in every part of India. तो वो geography वो सब वैसे ही पढ़ाया जा रहा है जैसे आपने बताया. तो I think if we have to get out of this mess, we need
Yeah.
more of the good Gurukulas and let them learn from each other.
Yeah. Santosh ji, I'm glad you're confirming what I just said. और सही कह रहे हो, डीएवी में कोई वैदिक बात नहीं है.
हाँ,
घटिया अंग्रेजीपन आ गया है, बस उसके अलावा कुछ भी नहीं है.
Right.
जी, मेरा गला ठीक नहीं है, आप चिंता मत करो, अभी बस बंद ही होने वाला है। ऑलराइट, नाउ आपके लिए एक मैसेज है। क्या कह रहे हैं? यू शुड बी इन इंडिया इफ यू आर सीरियस अबाउट।
This is a very funny argument that I keep
या
getting because हमारा जो नॉलेज सिस्टम जो पूरे वर्ल्ड में गया वो कैसे गया? वो एक तरफ से वो स्टूडेंट्स आते थे यहाँ पढ़ने के लिए इंडिया में, और हमारे लोग भी तो बाहर जाते थे। हमारे जो गुरुज थे, लाइक इन बागदाद देयर आयुर्वेदिक physician was there in house, and that's how the Sushruta Samhita got translated into the Persian and Arabic and various languages. So scholars have always been going out of India. It is not like they were just sitting in one place; they were traveling. So if you read my book, you will find the mobility of the teachers and the students. They were traveling all over the geography. So आपका Gandhara, go far east, far west, or you go far east. Everywhere you'll find the imprint of our Indian gurus. So
नहीं,
the
पर
other,
आई थिंक व्हाट ही मीन्स इज कि बहुत से लोग वहां का ज्ञान लेके, वी
hmm,
आर प्रोड्यूसिंग इंटेलेक्चुअल कुलीज ऑफ द वेस्ट.
hmm,
We are not producing people who are yet competent, not too many anyway. एक महर्षि योगी चले गए, ऐसा कुछ एक, हाँ,
hmm.
पर कॉम्पिटेंस है नहीं ऐसी लोगों में कि वो जाके वहाँ हमारी ज्ञान परंपराओं को फैलाएं.
So
उल्टा
that's the thing.
उनकी
So
ले
अगर
लेते
आप
हैं.
वहां जाके, if you get sold out, then you should criticize. But if I am going abroad and I'm becoming an ambassador for our culture and our educational
या
system, then what wrong do you see in that? So
आई एग्री.
let's not be myopic here. And at
या
the same time, I keep traveling back to India very often to stay in touch with my culture and to get energy from it. I get all my energy from India. So wherever I've lived in the world, I've actually been made it into an India for myself. So इस तरह से, I am straddling both the worlds. It's needed. Otherwise, we'll become very insular. अपने ही स्टेट में रहेंगे, अपने कंट्री में रहेंगे, और हमको नए आइडियाज भी नहीं आएंगे. तो ये जो it's because I stepped out of India that I came to know what we are missing, what we are not, that we are not connected with our history. And when I look at the way they are showcasing their history here, यूएस के मैं जो म्यूजियम्स में जाती हूँ या फिर इनके यूनिवर्सिटीज देखती हूँ, लाइब्रेरीज देखती हूँ, तो देन इट ऑल्सो मेक्स मी फील दैट हमारे यूनिवर्सिटीज में कैसे होना चाहिए, व्हाट इज इट दैट वी शुड टेक फ्रॉम देम एंड व्हाट इज इट दैट वी शुड रिटेन फ्रॉम आवर कल्चर. Those ideas also I get because I am here in all these places, and especially here in Cornell University. My daughter is studying here, and when she comes back and tells me how something was taught today, this is how we learned it, I can see certain good ideas that we definitely need to take from the Western world. Because हुआ क्या, हम colonize हो गए, हम पीछे रह गए, but the other countries advanced far ahead, right? And it's not like they didn't do anything, they didn't achieve anything. They have also achieved a lot, and we should also look positively at the good things that they have done while discarding the bad things. So that's important.
गुड थिंग्स मिलना मुझे तो और भी मुश्किल होता जा रहा है, क्योंकि हर गुड थिंग के साथ एडवर्स रिएक्ट. इट्स लाइक द एलोपैथिक मेडिकल सिस्टम. Every advancement in allopathic medicine, Western medicine,
That's one
brings
aspect.
1,000 adverse reactions. So you think, oh, see what advancement. Every year they are coming up with new formulae, they're inventing new techniques. But look at the mess they've made of the world. You know, हमारे जिंदगियों को इतना chemical warfare बना दिया. Each of our bodies is a site for chemical warfare. It's actually those plastic particles are floating in our bloodstream now. इतना हम प्लास्टिक का यूज हो गया, या chemical fertilizer, chemical this, chemical that. So I am finding it very hard to uh, these are predatory cultures, very destructive in intent, and they don't
Yes.
care about the consequences. They don't care about जब होगा तो फिर उसके लिए कोई और फॉर्मूला निकालेंगे जिसमें और पैसा मिल जाएगा. It's so commerce oriented
So Madhu ji,
that
that's one aspect of it that जैसे medical research जो हुआ है वो destructive रहा है, agree with that. But the other,
industrial revolution,
but they're
industry
also open now to receiving some, this अभी जो natural ये जो चल रहा है, all this why yoga has become popular और naturopathy करके जो भी ये कर रहे हैं, so this is also a wave that we need to ride. the Indians, the Hindus, we need to ride this wave, and we have to, when we see that they are actually
Right
interested
this
in.
way, they want to dismantle Hindu phobia. हमारे
Oh,
खिलाफ
yes.
इतनी नफरत फैलाते हैं, मैं उनसे कुछ नहीं सीखना चाहती हूँ। मैं तो बैन कर दूं एंट्री इन लोगों की अपने देश में। नहीं, सच में, आई एम
Right,
टेलिंग यू, दे आर
right.
प्रेडेटरी बाय नेचर, सो दे विल स्टील एवरीथिंग फ्रॉम यू एंड देन प्रिटेंड उनको खुदा ने विरासत में दी थी, उसका फिर मंकी बना देंगे। योग का ही कितने भद्दे अवतार इन्होंने बना दिए, है ना?
No,
पावर
that's true.
योगा,
The
हॉट
Hindu
योगा,
phobia
ये
aspect, and I
हाँ।
will be surprised to know ये हिंदू फोबिया के पीछे कौन लोग हैं, हमारे ही लोग हैं। तो जो लोग हमारे
नहीं नहीं,
लोग हैं
उनके
जो,
फ्लंकी है, हमारे लोग उनके फ्लंकी पेड हायरलिंग्स हैं। हमारे लोग अपने आप नहीं उठ खड़े होते, क्योंकि बहुत करियर एडवांसमेंट हो जाती है अगर आप
हम्म,
हिंदू बैशिंग करो तो। इनकी नियत बदनियत है,
हम्म,
इनकी नियत सही हो नहीं सकती, क्योंकि फाउंडेशन ही वेस्टर्न कल्चर का प्रेडिटरी है। दे दैट्स द फर्स्ट एंड most important principle. And
नहीं,
also,
मधु जी, आई एग्री विथ यू।
my way or the highway. uh,
हाँ, no, I agree with you too. In all those examples that you're giving, that जहाँ पे वो लोग predatory हैं, जहाँ पे वो they run down our culture and all that, I agree. But जो हम उनसे सीख सकते हैं, there are some good ideas. For example, I'll tell you, when my daughter was studying in high school, how the subject of agriculture was introduced to them, and I was finding it very interesting. So the class was divided into four parts, and each of them was given crops that the selection of crops that they can grow. So these are winter crops, these are summer crops. इसमें पानी ज्यादा लगता है, उसमें पानी कम लगता है. They were given all these variables, and then they were told that आपको जो जो लगाना है crops आप लगा दीजिए. So the four groups, they all planted whatever they wanted. I mean, it's all of course in the on paper. They are making the plans, and then they were told this is going to be a drought year. Now let's see who all have made who all have made money out of whatever they have grown, or who have succeeded, not failed. So then the children slowly, even though they have never been to a field, they have not seen a farm, they are learning the principles of planning for agriculture and all that. So what I'm saying is, यहाँ पे जो the ways they teach, we can definitely borrow certain things from them. We can observe
वो
it.
तो गुरुकुल में से ज्यादा अच्छा सिखा रहे हैं।
Of course. So what I'm saying
हाथ
is they,
से, मिट्टी से अपने हाथ को मैले करना सिखाना सबसे प्राइमरी वैल्यू है।
correct,
हाँ,
correct.
किसी को उगाना, ये
Hmm.
बैठ के दिल्ली में बैठ के या न्यूयॉर्क में बैठ के फार्म पॉलिसी की प्लानिंग करना, इसी मूर्खता ने तो हमारे तबाही मचाई है। लुक एट द
Correct.
स्टेट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमी। You
Hmm.
know, the more planned it is, the more disasters it's producing. The cycles of depression, it wipes out millions of people in one stroke. Suddenly it's up, suddenly it's down. Nobody can even make sense of it. Now, what kind of planning is it that you cannot predict whether tomorrow you will be a pauper or you'll be a rich man? I'm sorry, I don't want to learn all this. I don't wish to live in the world that they have created, because morally it is decadent and evil. At the heart of Western civilization is pure evil. Capital E, capital V, capital I, capital L. And they cannot help but be predatory. नियत ही नहीं है, साफ ही नहीं है ना। आप बताइए किस चीज को आज भी एक्नॉलेज करते हैं कि हमसे लिया है? नहीं, नहीं एक्नॉलेज करते। वो जो लाखों करोड़ों लोग अमेरिका में योगा सीखते हैं, चाहे यंगर से कहाँ से, उसको बॉडी ब्यूटीफुल का फॉर्मूला बनाते हैं। व्हेन डू दे स्टैंड अप व्हेन इंडिया इज डिमोनाइज्ड, सेइंग a land that could produce yoga as a way of connecting to the divine? How can it be producing fascists? कैसे
No,
हो
but
सकता है?
Madhuji, when we condemn them, at the same time, we have to look at ourselves also, what we have
नहीं
done.
नहीं, हम
Because
कर
when they
लेंगे,
look
हम
at
अपने को कर लेंगे।
हमारी
पहले
वेबसाइट,
उनको,
गवर्नमेंट की वेबसाइट में जाके देखेंगे, तो आप देखेंगे उसी में ही बकवास मिलेगा, उसी में ही
मैं कुछ और,
आपको पहले.
let's not see,
हम्म,
self flagellation comes very easily to us, and we do flagellate. Living in India, why do I choose to live in India? So that I can flagellate my government. I have a right to flagellate them. The point that I'm trying to make is कि वहां का ज्ञान लाके हम बहुत तबाही करते हैं, चाहे उनका आर्किटेक्चरल ज्ञान लाए हैं, चाहे उनका खेती का ज्ञान लाए हैं। हमारी ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन ने पॉइजन कर दिया हमारे सारे सॉइल्स को। नहीं चाहिए मुझे उनकी खेती, नहीं चाहिए। अच्छा, किसमें प्रॉफिट होगा, किसमें क्या नहीं होगा? प्रॉफिट, द वर्ड प्रॉफिट इटसेल्फ engines the whole economy and the moral value system of the Western civilization. So I'm saying when the core is rotten, that's in my view. So honestly, मुझे नहीं सीखना उनसे. उनकी
I mean,
हाइजीन हमें बड़ी अच्छी लगती थी किसी जमाने में, देखो कितने, बट वो हाइजीन में कितनी केमिकल्स हैं, वो कितना पॉइजन कर रही है लोगों के एनवायरनमेंट को. एनीवे, इनका सिद्धार्थ शेखर कह रहे हैं, क्या कह रहे हैं, गुरुकुल्स हैव टू बी रिवाइव्ड, नॉट शुड और कैन. द लेफ्टिस्ट प्रोपेगेंडा इज सो इंसीडियस दैट किड्स एंड कॉमन हिंदूज हैव बीन ब्रेन वॉश. ये सही कह रहे हो. और इसी से जुड़ा मैं सहाना आपसे एक सवाल पूछूंगी. नॉर्मली जब गुरुकुल की याद आती है ना, वो shaven heads and that chutiya and that dhoti, and people think, अरे if this is what it means, तो क्या होगा हमारा. ये आपको क्या लगता है कि ये प्रेजुडिस है कि ये गुरुकुल्स कैसे हैंडल कर रहे हैं? What would you say to this prejudice?
no, that's because they do not understand why they are having the shikha. What is the shikha there for? It is protecting a certain part of a certain chakra. So unless we know what they are representing, the way they are dressing and everything, so all that we do, the mundane, the things that we do, is actually linked to the profound. ये हमारी culture में है, civilization में ही है सब कुछ. So you might look down on the way they are dressing, but if you go a layer deeper, you will find out why that kind of dressing is good. You know, why you wear loose clothes, not like those tight jeans which are causing problems. And you can use it for anything. You can use it for running. Even ladies used to wear those kind of clothes, and they could do everything. So prejudice ka to koi, only knowledge and education is the only cure for prejudice, if a person has an open mind. And also to address the earlier point that you made, मेरा क्या है कि the framework आपका अपना 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 culture का रखिए, अपने civilization का रखिए, but जो भी knowledge आता है, use your own discrimination, your own nuanced understanding to see whether it is good, bad, whether anything of worth is there in it or not, because that is the way I have learned whatever I have learned. तो अगर अब जैसे हम in this world, if we have to be heard, if there's a certain way of writing a paper, then we have to write a paper, a technical paper in a certain way. We have to make the case for what we are saying, come to a conclusion. उस तरह के papers लिख के हमको अपने आप को, we have to be heard. वो भी करना पड़ेगा. I mean, we are living in a world, interdependent world. We are exporting, we are importing. और पहले जमाने में भी profit था. ऐसे नहीं है कि हम लोग तभी तो richest country in the world थे. We
नहीं
were
नहीं, हम
charging.
लक्ष्मी को पूजनीय मानते हैं.
हाँ, right.
लक्ष्मी को पूजनीय मानते हैं, पर साथ में सरस्वती भी,
हाँ,
ताकि विवेकपूर्ण
हाँ,
आप, वेल्थ आपकी जो है कमाई का साधन विवेकपूर्ण हो,
right.
धार्मिक हो. ये
Right.
नहीं है कि लूट पाट करके, जो
हाँ,
एब्राहमिक्स ने केवल लूट पाट से अपनी वेल्थ बनाई है. अगर कॉलोनाइज ना किया होता तो कहाँ ये इतने वेल्दी होते, लूट पाट ना किया होती.
right.
अब नहीं हो रही ना इंग्लैंड से लूटपाट, तो देखिए क्या हाल है उनकी इकोनॉमी का.
Right.
तो द पॉइंट दैट आई एम ट्राइंग टू मेक इज कि वी वर हर्ड, वी वर विश्व गुरुज when we spoke in our own language, we used our own paradigm. अब जैसे ही हम सोचते हैं इनके ज्ञान को भी, ऑफ कोर्स पूर्व पक्ष बहुत जरूरी है इनको समझने के लिए, है ना, इनका, परंतु ये ज्ञान, इनकी परंपरा बहुत प्रेडेटरी है. और उसमें जाके जो सक्सेस के फॉर्मूले हैं, वो इंसान को इंसान बने रहने देता ही नहीं है, ऐसा मेरा मानना है. जो कंपेटिटिव सिस्टम है, नर्वस ब्रेकडाउन्स, डिसोरिएंटेशन, क्या हाल है शिक्षा में, जहां आपको ये भी ज्ञान, प्राइमरी ज्ञान सबसे जो होता है, रिश्ते मैनेजमेंट का ज्ञान, अपने संबंध, परिवार को मैनेज करने का. परिवार टूट रहा है, समाज टूट रहा है, रिश्ते टूट रहे हैं, और आप सोचिए आप बड़े प्रोग्रेस कर रहे हो.
That is true. तो ये जो core, the character building जो होना चाहिए, which was a very important part of our Gurukula education, which is now missing in the modern education. ये है कि आपका core को strong बनाना है, so that आप you can go through any crisis. अगर आप somebody dies in the family, you lose a job, any crisis, that you are taught how to also believe in yourself and have faith in the Paramatma. You have faith. Okay, if you choose not to believe in Paramatma, at least have faith in yourself. But all these frameworks were instilled at a very young age, so that they're able to go through life and be unscathed. with all the crisis that comes your way. So they won't be, depression hona ya fir, start consuming alcohol because you want to get out of this. That will not happen if you have that, if your core is strong. तो वो स्ट्रॉन्ग कोर जो है, आई बिलीव दैट वो गुरुकुल एजुकेशन से ही आएगा, या तो फिर उससे आप कॉन्सेप्ट्स लेके आप मॉडर्न स्कूल्स में भी डालिए, जो भी बाकी स्कूल्स भी जो हैं. If everybody cannot, all schools cannot afford to become gurukulas right in the midst of nature. You will be in Delhi, you will be in cities, big cities. Then use the teaching methods of the gurukulas. I would say use teaching methods from wherever, which are useful to you. Because gurukulas, even in ancient times, we were not discarding ideas coming from other parts of the world, or and because foreign students were coming, Chinese students were coming, and it's not like completely one way था knowledge. हम देते तो थे, सिखाते थे, पर हम सीखते भी थे. That's why we were always at the top of the.
ईस्टर्न कल्चर्स की जो नॉलेज ट्रेडिशंस हैं उनमें हार्मनी थी, और इसलिए आदान प्रदान प्रेडेटरी नहीं था. ईस्टर्न कल्चर्स, और उस वक्त चाइना भी, उस वहाँ का कम्युनिस्ट चाइना नहीं था. कम्युनिस्ट चाइना इज एक्चुअली मोर वेस्टर्न इन इट्स आउटलुक, because the ideology has come from there. Class war and authoritarianism, totalitarian controls. These are very Western concepts. The point that I'm trying to make is that Adan Pradan was different. I don't think there's any evidence that we learned very much from, the Westerners had much to teach us. Firstly, they come so late in the day with their setting up of universities. And mostly they are for training missionaries, right? Oxford and divinity schools, जो अमेरिका के भी क्या ट्रेनिंग उनकी होनी थी. मेन तो कोर तो वही था ना. तो खैर
Well, the thing is, they built on what we had learned, and that's the thing. They, of course, stepped on us. They were predatory. बट फिर क्या हो गया, उन्होंने उसके ऊपर काफी रिसर्च किया. जब हम पीछे रह गए, वी वर नॉट एबल टू कैपिटलाइज ऑन व्हाट वी न्यू, एंड वी कुड नॉट बिल्ड अप ऑन इट. तो ये जो डिफरेंस अभी आ गया है, अब इसको ब्रिज करना है. सो वी हैव टू नाउ, देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग नीडेड. तो ऑफ कोर्स वी हैव NEP, नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी, where they're trying to bring that, but
let's not bring it in. Let's not bring it in. Let's not bring it. That's
Indian knowledge systems.
दुख देने वाला सब्जेक्ट है, इसको नहीं लाते. ये क्या कह रहे हैं, with due respect, self-flagellation is not good, but hating everything about the West is not good either. बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हो सिद्धार्थ. Everything about the West is not good either.
That's what I was saying.
हाँ, इसमें सहना आपके साथ है पूरी तरह से. पर I think at my age, I've seen enough of it to know that इतना उन्होंने हमारा दिमाग वाइट वॉश कर दिया, कुछ बचा नहीं है. और उनके फ्रेमवर्क में अपने को ढालने के लिए कि हम कैसे अपनी बात कहें ताकि वो भी समझ लें, हम भी कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स उन जैसे, उसमें करते करते हम बंदर बन जाते हैं. बंदर नहीं खराब होते, क्या बन जाते हैं, अजीब प्राणी बन जाते हैं. तो इसलिए जो लेना है लीजिए, जरूर लीजिए, जिसको अच्छा जो वहां से लगता है,
जो हमारे धार्मिक फ्रेमवर्क को भी फिट करता है, वो आई थिंक वी शुड take. And by the way, I am seeing our dharmic ideas being presented in a way that our own younger generation likes very much. So you know what, like concepts like equality, जब वो बोलते हैं तो हमारे younger generation को बड़ा अच्छा लगता है equality. तो उनसे वो आइडिया को लेके, I mean, we need to explain to us.
Equality is the stupidest of all ideas that the Western world has ever produced. It's gross, and gross in the way they implement it, and they are so dishonest about it. हमारी जो सनातन धर्म की इक्वालिटी है वो ये है कि सेम डिवाइन स्पिरिट परमिएट्स अस ऑल. वो एक कॉकरोच में भी है, वो आपके में भी, मेरे में भी, पत्थर में भी और नदी में भी, वो ही एनर्जी और वो ही डिवाइन एनर्जी. वो इक्वालिटी तो मुझे समझ आती है, पर ये नहीं है ना. No. Their equality is why can't everybody get the same job? Why can't women do everything men do? Why can't everybody get the same? But do they implement it? Are they equal? Am I equal with the president of America in any way and form? Are you? Do you feel equal to him?
नहीं नहीं,
Look,
वही मधु जी मैं क्या कह रही हूँ कि उनकी
क्या
इक्वालिटी
इक्वालिटी?
कॉन्सेप्ट को लेके हम उसको अपने इसमें वी हैव टू एक्सप्लेन इट टू द चिल्ड्रन ऑफ टुडे, बिकॉज यू कांट स्टॉप टुडेज चिल्ड्रन from feeling enamored by these concepts coming from the West. So what
But
do
I'm
we have to
saying, does
teach
the
them?
West mean equality when they say
No, they
equality?
don't. So we have to tell them that
So
because
why should we then be defensive कि नहीं नहीं हम भी बड़े equality mongers हैं? वो शब्द ही, it's a caricature, because what they do then is to bring in sameness.
hmm,
To be equal, a woman has to be as good as a man in doing everything.
hmm.
सो अभी उसको अपनी बायोलॉजी को भी ताक पे रख के आर्मी में भी जाना है, कॉम्बैट भी करना है, स्विमिंग भी करनी है, इवन व्हेन यू आर मेंस्ट्रुएटिंग, बिकॉज यू आर इक्वल, देयरफॉर all those 3-4 days you have to be as equal, you should be able to swim, you should be able to have a sword fight. I mean, what kind of nonsense is this?
नहीं बट मधु जी
And the
इसको काउंटर
measurement,
करना जरूरी है. व्हाट आई एम सेइंग इज दैट इनके जो कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ जो भी है इक्वालिटी है या व्हाटएवर दे आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, उसको भी वी हैव टू पुट इट इन आवर थ्रू आवर लेंसेस, लुक एट इट थ्रू आवर लेंसेस एंड देन डीमिस्टिफाई इट, ब्रेक इट डाउन फॉर द चिल्ड्रन ऑफ टुडे. ये इंपॉर्टेंट है बिकॉज आई गेट दीज क्वेश्चंस ऑल द टाइम फ्रॉम चिल्ड्रन कि हमारा सोसाइटी क्यों अनइक्वल है, हमारे इसमें ऐसे क्यों है. So
नहीं नहीं,
then I
उनसे
have to.
पूछो ना, अमेरिका कहाँ इक्वल है, मुझे बता दे, एक जगह बता दे जहाँ इक्वल है.
But they are not saying
One
अमेरिका इक्वल
place
है,
where
but they are saying अमेरिका इक्वालिटी को कह रहा है कि ऐसे होना चाहिए, तो वो
मेरा
सही
नहीं,
है.
तो इम्प्लीमेंट क्यों नहीं किया अब तक? किसी भी यूरोपियन देश ने सबको इक्वल क्यों नहीं बना दिया? क्यों नहीं? एक देश बताइए जो इक्वल है, जहां सब समान है, एक बता दीजिए. अगर आप नहीं कर पाए तो इसका मतलब आपका कॉन्सेप्ट बकवास है. अगर आप इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं कर पाते इतने सैकड़ों साल के बाद कि इक्वालिटी मॉन्गरिंग के बावजूद, इतनी रेवोल्यूशन ले आए, फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन ले आए, क्रॉमवेल वाला आ गया, ये आ गया, वो आ गया, कितने लोगों का कत्ल कर दिया इक्वालिटी मॉन्गरिंग में, तो आज तक आई क्यों नहीं? डेमोक्रेसी को स्प्रेड करने के लिए आपने कितने देशों को तबाह कर दिया, वियतनाम को तबाह कर दिया, मिडिल ईस्ट में अफगानिस्तान को, सीरिया को, इराक को तबाह कर दिया. जहां जाते हो तबाह करते हो, इक्वालिटी लाते हो, किसके साथ इक्वालिटी लाए हो? मैं उनकी इक्वालिटी शब्द से मुझे,
I know,
आई
I know.
टेल यू,
I'm in the
लाइक
same side.
रेड
I
रैग
am
टू द वर्ल्ड.
absolutely agree with you here.
It's
But
the
what I'm
most
saying is,
hateful word because they have made fools of all of us. They use these pious slogans which
hmm,
mean nothing. Show me equality in any of these cultures. I can show them equality in our tradition where it had meaning. Not everybody practiced it to the same extent, but it can have meaningful implications in your life.
it's more of interdependence. So what we have to talk to our children about is that it was an interdependent society. So anyway, so what I'm saying is basically ये सारे जो Western concepts हैं, which sound very good on the surface, but they have not been able to implement it. And what was our concept of equality? What was our concept of interdependence? तो ये सब भी हमको करना पड़ेगा. We'll have to tackle this because we cannot turn away from this. And I hope that Gurukul education में उनको ये सब भी सिखाया जाए. Otherwise, when they come out of it, they will be confronted with all these things. आप जहां भी जाएंगे ये concepts ये सब अभी फैल गया है, and we have to strengthen them. So we have to let them know about the outer world. क्योंकि एक idyllic world में आप अच्छे से education प्राप्त करेंगे, you will learn all the shastras, you'll be rooted. But once you go out into the world, Hindu phobia है, सब कुछ है. Do you have the arguments? Do you have the arguments to give to them? तो ये भी एक part of the education होना चाहिए. If I have to make
जी
suggestions.
जी, बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं. अच्छा, लास्ट कमेंट फ्रॉम यू. डू यू थिंक it can be scaled up? Does it have the potential? At least in the South, I see better Gurukuls, where I wouldn't mind sending my child to. But in the North, Gurukuls की बहुत बुरी हालत है, फटीचर है. तो मुझे बताइए, स्केल अप होने की संभावना है?
I think scale up होने की संभावना है, but then it needs a very concerted effort because right now it is not even mainstream. Right now आप देखेंगे mainstream जब बात करते हैं, जैसे I mentioned the NEP and all that, उसमें तो गुरुकुल है ही नहीं, right? It is all modern these kind of schools. तो इसको कैसे आप mainstream में लेके आएंगे? That is going to be the question. But what I saw in this thing Gokarna, gave me some hope because there I saw quite a big campus. It's huge and there's so much of construction going on. So I can see there are a lot of donors who are supporting this institution. बड़े बड़े अच्छे अच्छे buildings बन रहे हैं, classrooms बन रहे हैं. I feel it can be done if there is one role model, if there is one case which is successful, जिससे अच्छे students निकल के आते हैं and they are problem solvers, they get into every profession. तो वो एक बार जब दिखेगा, then people will understand that this works. So we need that success story, a big one. तब मुझे लगता है कि it's a matter of time, then वो उस तरह के गुरुकुल बन जाएंगे and they'll be competing with each other. हो सकता है.
How
And it
much
should
does
start
it
from
cost? How much does the traditional guru that was Gurukul, जो शंकराचार्य tradition से related है, what does it cost for per
I
year?
actually, because again, I'm not sorry, that information I have not really collected, but it wasn't expensive. From what I could gather, it wasn't expensive. And I could see that all the parents are donating more than what is needed for their child's education because they want to help others who can't give that much. जो मतलब अच्छे खासे job में है, वो थोड़ा बहुत तो दे ही सकते हैं, because I could see that the children are getting such nutritious food जो कि उनको घर में नहीं मिलेगा शायद, ऐसा ब्यूटीफुल वंडरफुल डिलिशियस फूड, फ्रेशली मेड, बहुत प्यार से खिलाते हैं. फिर एवरीथिंग इज सो गुड दैट आई फील दैट पेरेंट्स जो भेज रहे हैं दे विल हैप्पीली गिव मोर मनी. बट द ओनली चैलेंज इज दैट ये आई थिंक दे आर स्टिल थिंकिंग अबाउट द करिकुलम. There is still that conflict between how much of paramпаrik subjects and how much of time to be given for modern subjects, because there are only 24 hours in a day. और इतने टाइम में आप कितना दोगे बच्चों को, बिकॉज इवन इन द फ्री टाइम दे आर डूइंग समथिंग. जब वापस आ जाते हैं क्लासेस खत्म करके, शाम को भी वो कुछ कर ही रहे थे, मतलब या दे वर रिवाइजिंग, फिर या तो कुछ खाना बनाना के सीखना है या कुछ और करना है. सो दे वर बिजी राइट फ्रॉम मॉर्निंग टू नाइट. तो दिस इज गोइंग टू बी द चैलेंज फॉर गुरुकुलास कि करिकुलम का मिक्स क्या होना चाहिए. और स्केल अप के लिए आई थिंक इट कैन डेफिनेटली बी स्केल्ड अप. देयर आर लॉट ऑफ पीपल, रिच पीपल इन इंडिया हु कैन इन्वेस्ट. अगर इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं आप स्टार्टअप्स में, तो स्टार्टअप गुरुकुल्स में भी करिए.
अरे स्टार्टअप वाले प्रॉफिट सोचते हैं पहले. स्टार्टअप कल्चर ना प्रॉफिट मोटिवेटेड है, तो ये स्टार्टअप फाटअप वाले नहीं करने वाले. ये धार्मिक प्रवृत्ति के लोग ही करेंगे, जिनको इस देश से प्यार है, अपने प्रॉफिट से नहीं है.
एक्चुअली देयर इज अ केस फॉर इट मधु जी, बिकॉज ये जो
आई एम सेइंग स्टार्टअप वाले नहीं करते हैं नेक काम, which is नेक in and of itself without big profits coming their way. And Gurukul is not something that's going to give you the kind of profits that a Harvard University makes. So let's face it, it's not going to, or a Doon school makes. It's not going to do that. So
just one point I want to make. Yeah, startups in that sense, they will probably not invest. But what I would like to tell them is that आप जो मॉडर्न एजुकेशन से जो बच्चे निकल के आ रहे हैं, यू विल फाइंड दैट ना तो वो इनोवेटिव है, ना आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स थिंकर्स हैं, बिकॉज वो एक ही इसमें आ रहे हैं. लेकिन आप जब देखेंगे कि ये गुरुकुल एजुकेशन पे से जो निकलेंगे, if you find that they are able to think out of the box, they find solutions without, which are not there in all the books, वो अपने आप से निकालते हैं, maybe there will be a case for it if we get those bright students coming out of gurukulas.
वो भी सही है, पर एक और चैलेंज, एंड दिस इज माय लास्ट कमेंट. गुरुकुल के बच्चे तो हमने अच्छे पढ़ा दिए, वैल्यू एजुकेशन भी दी. अब वो क्या करेंगे, आके एक तो कॉर्पोरेट जॉब लेंगे जहाँ पे उनको पेप्सी कोला बेचना है या ऐसा कुछ. अब वो कैसे लेके आएंगे अपने वैल्यू सिस्टम को कचरा बेचने के लिए, या जो भी प्रोडक्ट्स जैसे मार्केटिंग होती है. या दूसरा है आईएएस में जाएंगे, आईएफएस में जाएंगे, वहां तो बेड़ा गर्क हो जाता है अच्छे भले इंसान का.
That is
You know,
true.
with even
The ecosystem is missing.
modest level of moderate level of ethics and morality, you go berserk if you join the government service. So the point is, the outside world has to be actually receptive. Only then will we be producing gurukuls. If we reshape our economy,
Correct,
to do different things, to set up different goals.
absolutely.
If the goals are going to be American goals, then these poor Gurukul kids will have a nervous breakdown if they have to do a corporate job or have to join the IPS or IAS or any one of these kind of services. तो ये बहुत बड़ा challenge है. Does India have the vision?
I did meet once a Gurukula educated person who was an IFS and he actually stood out for me, the way he was talking to me, the way he was bringing up his knowledge of Tamil literature. And that's when I thought, okay, तो गुरुकुल के बच्चे अगर IAS में IFS में पहुंच जाए, so it might bring about that change that we are wanting to see. No?
Is IS worthy of them? Is IFS worthy of such products? That's the question. Do
Hmm.
we have to not make our administrative service worthy of Gurukul products? To me, that would be the big challenge.
Yes,
तो इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ viewers, thank you for your interest in this subject. वैसे तो hot नहीं है topic जैसे आजकल चल रहे हैं, you know, क्या बोलते हैं, trending topics. This can't be a trending topic, but this is something that needs to be discussed every single day. हाँ, ये twofold. Make them Gurukul कह रहे हैं, कपिल जी कह रहे हैं, virtuous human beings and thinkers, not package or dustbin of information.
absolutely.
बिल्कुल सही कहा आपने, बिल्कुल सही कहा कपिल जी. So we'll have you talk about Gurukuls one day soon, Kapil ji. With these words, thank you, Sahana. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you. Thank you.
and good luck with your study. And I certainly will visit some of these Gurukuls that you are mentioning, because I want to be able to give scholarships to children to study in Gurukuls, become Sanskrit scholars. So I set up a trust in the name of my parents
Mhm.
for just that. So for me to get to good Gurukuls, to understand and to be able to reach them is in that sense a necessity. So
Yeah,
please keep me posted.
and I'll keep telling you about more Gurukulas that I visit,
Yes, please.
so that you
Yes.
can probably help them as well.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you
Namaste.
very much. अच्छा, हमारे व्यूअर्स कृपया क्या कहते हैं, लाइक शेयर सपोर्ट करते रहिएगा और वो बेल आइकॉन दबाते रहिएगा ताकि आपको इन्फॉर्मेशन मिलती रहे. इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ शुभ रात्रि और वंदे मातरम.
Okay.